Have you been ever diagnosed with Divine Orbs deficiency? If that's the case, then I may prescribe you just what you need, and that being the case, vitamin H, that states for harvest. Harvest farming methods were one of the best ones in the previous league, and with all the new strategies that are coming towards us and that came towards us in the previous league, we're gonna talk about all of them. This video in particular is going to be about generic harvest farming through your Atlas talent, tree, just in general, without any additional keystone nodes like crop rotation. For crop rotation, there's going to be an additional video, and maybe for some Atlas memories as well. But today we're going to be talking about generic harvest farming. How do you want to do it? Which sextants do you want to use it? And why it's so good to steadily progress towards your divine orbs by getting so much life force out of harvest. And everybody wants to buy your life force, especially in bulk, especially if you have tons of it. Everybody will just try to buy them from you as fast as possible, which means that you will never be in a state where you can't really sell some items that you farmed. And you don't really need to use any trading devices, third parties, Discord servers. Everything that you need is the trading site, and that's gonna be just good. So yeah, let's talk about harvest here, and let's talk about what do we want to get from this mechanic, which talents are good, how we can proc some additional luck maybe with our strategies, and which sextants are we gonna use. Okay, now let's talk about general ways for you to spawn your harvest, how you want to build your character around it, which maps you may prefer to use it, and stuff like that. So harvest in general, there are multiple ways for you to spawn harvests on your maps. You can go for random chance with your talents and go and block additional content and stuff. Go for more chance to contain Sacred Grove, and you can only have one Sacred Grove at a time on your map, which makes it quite easier to get it, and it's similar thing to expedition. So if you are using a sextant that guarantees you Sacred Blossom, then you can just then spec out of all the talents that increase chance to contain Sacred Growth, like these ones and this cluster in here, which will make it easier for you to just have it in general. You can go for a 7th gate, which is a trade-off, and I don't really think that on League Stars specifically you're gonna go for this strategy. 7th gate requires you to have all the cryptic gateways being in here, so you will lose some talent points in your talent tree, but then you can buy harvest crafting from the just in general in your map device. And this again, it sacrifices you being able to get something additional like essences and stuff, so it's a way more iffy thing to do. In general, let's say that you have two primary options. You either spec into all these chances to contain Sacred Grove, or you get a sextant that 100% chance for you to have Sacred Grove inside your map. Then after that, we need to talk about, in general, all the talents. So Bountiful Harvest just increases your chance to spawn additional monsters a little bit, which is pretty good. Then we're going for a Bumper Crop, and to be honest, Harvest is quite easy in this term. We take every single notable without one. If we're not playing with crop rotation, and if you want to specify some particular crop, which you do, some particular crop type, then we are not taking only one big talent, which will be the crop that you want to have as much as possible in your harvests. And after that, you're just taking all of them, every single one. So this one just increases tiers of your plants. This one gives you a chance to duplicate stuff, and it's just all good. Whenever you're going for harvest in general, remember main key points of this mechanic. You want to have as much mob density, as much item quantity on your maps as possible. And you don't care about any MF stats on your gear, as it does not improve your life force output. And if you want to specifically farm your harvests for life force and you don't really care about many other things that you, so yeah, you can farm hybrid harvest with some other mechanics in map, and maybe you want to have some additional things. That one you can do, but it's way less min-maxy. Harvest in general requires you to min-max way more, which makes it way a little bit less of a league start mechanic in general, as it will, without a at least moderate investment, it will probably be worse than something like Legion or especially Expedition, which are way more straight up to your face. But this one is a very reliable and a very powerful way for you to gather and to get as much life force and then convert it into divine orbs. It's very steady way for you to farm it, and it was proven to be very, very good. And yet again, everyone wants to buy it, so it will never be all your sacrifices will never be in vain, and you will always be able to sell everything. Okay, so yeah, this is when it comes to your talents. So this round in here we're taking with chances if you are not going for Sextant. This one we're taking if you're not going for Sextants. Otherwise, you can skip these two and you can skip this cluster. We're going for duplication, we're going for additional tiers and stuff. Then we are going for this cluster in particular. So what it does, it blocks or it reduces chance to grow unwanted types of your harvest crops. So you need to, at least once a day or something like that, check prices for different types of plants, and you probably want, quite often the yellow one is very good, but if any of them is more profitable and it sells for more, you just want to block one of another one, and you just do that. But basically you want to have untalented only one that you want to farm, and it is quite important, especially if you're gonna use some additional extents like this one in here, which I'm gonna specify a little bit later. But you want to prioritize one of them most of the time, especially, and yeah, if you're not going for like crop rotation and stuff, it's generally completely different way of approaching things. And then we are going for, and yet again, pack size and mob density is one of the most powerful things that you can get for harvest, because your life force, it scales from quantity of items that mob drops. And of course, the more mobs you have inside of your maps, that is, it applies to harvest mobs as well, the more life force you will have as well. Which means that you can use with pretty good output growing hordes, which converts your scarabs into increased pack size, which is a very, very powerful thing to have. Gilded scarabs may be quite expensive, but and it doesn't really matter which scarabs are you taking, so that makes you an ability to just buy the cheapest scarabs, even if it's rusted ones, even if it's 1 chaos each, it will be worth it, because it will spawn way more monsters, and then it will multiply with your quality of items dropping, and it will be very, very good. That's why we want to use it with harvest specifically. Otherwise, you want to have your maps rolled very well and have it as much mods as possible, be corrupted and stuff, 8 mods and unidentified corrupted maps, everything like that will be very, very valuable, because it will just multiply amounts of your life force. And that's why I'm talking about here that you may need to sacrifice some parts of maybe other mechanics and stuff in order to maximize profits from harvest. So you need to specifically try to, if you want to farm harvest in general, you need to be quite clear with yourself and with your goals, and to heavily lie into this mechanic. Because it's a little bit more specific in terms that you don't really need your MF gear, which makes you able to create more powerful character. You don't need to be speed clearing character as well, because you just need to be able to kill quite strong and healthy enemies that harvest are. They are pretty strong, they are pretty healthy, which means that you need powerful character. You don't need to be as fast as possible and stuff like that, and you need to specifically try to get your maps to be as high mob density, so pack size, and as high on item quantity increases as possible, as that will correlate with your gains of life force just 1-to-1. Okay, now this, so yeah, and with that comes in mind, of course, and why I was talking about sacrifices, increased effect of modifiers on your non-unique map. So all these small talents are gonna increase output of your life force from harvest, which means that you may want to take all these talents over some other talents that you may wanted to take, such as some additional map drops, or maybe you wanted to spec more into some additional mechanic, maybe like shrines if you want to be faster and stuff. And you just just improving your quantity of items found, like this one and this one, and going for increased effect of modifiers on your non-unique maps will be way more powerful for harvest specifically. The thing that you may want to take, of course, just to be more powerful and fast, and to get to your sulfite veins faster, so to your harvest faster, is packed with energy. And yeah, so this may be a thing. But it all depends, and yet again, we are going for growing hordes, which means that you will have to have your Nico in Sextants or stuff like that. So it's a bit more secondary in this term, but it is still a pretty good way for you to increase your power and speed in these situations. Then we want, because we want to have as much quantity, item quantity as possible, we are going for Eater of Worlds influence. You may go into the Exarch, but you wouldn't have as much harvest multipliers. So you will have your additional rewards from altars. If you're going for Syrian Exarch, you will have some chaoses, some sextants, some other currency and stuff. But these ones, and specifically those modifiers on altars that give you additional item quantity on all your map, they will influence your harvest, and that means that you want to trigger and proc as much of those altars as possible before you are going to do your harvest. Of course, it does not really worth backtracking if you were to run a long map and activate them all and then backtrack. That you don't really need to do, but every single altar that was prior to harvest, you want to use them. And that's why you want to prioritize maps that are structured that way, that you will have at least some altars before your harvest, and the other type of your map specifically, your targeting and picking map specifically, is going for city square and maps that have their bosses very, very close to the entrance to the map. And this way, you wouldn't really have an ability to proc as much altars, but you will just maximize your raw number of harvests that you can do per hour, because you will get very, very fast to your. It's just in general, it's an open layout where you can quite easily access any part of the map, and wherever the harvest is spawned, you can just run very fast towards it, finish the map that way. Maximize your life force, and then go out. This is one of the strategies that you may do as well, but yeah, they all have their pluses, their minuses, and it's just some different ways to approach it. Okay, now we've talked about all the talents. Now, what are we exactly going for? Just in general, if you may not be as familiar with the mechanic itself. So we're going for crystallized life force. This is one of the main crafting mechanics and crafting ingredients, resources that people use to craft their stuff, to do all the different things that your Horde crafting station may be able to perform. And there is, of course, sacred crystallized life force that you can get from your sacred blossom, that you can get just in general from rare, unique monsters from harvest, and that can sell for quite a lot as well. This is your randomized chase item that will cost a lot just in general. Otherwise, your life force will be steadily increasing, and you will steadily just work towards your goal in divine orbs whenever you will be selling them. So it's more of a gradual increase rather than spikes of something dropped and then nothing drops for a long time. So yeah, and now let's talk about sextants and about their importance. So yet again, harvest is not really that friendly whenever you're just league starting, whenever you don't really have anything to invest and you don't have a powerful character that can handle all the mobs inside of it. And without sextants, harvest is a bit more of a lackluster league mechanic when you compare it to expedition or even legion. So what you do want in terms of sextants, first one is, yes, you want to guarantee your sacred growth spawning, and you can save yourself some points in this way. So that sextant will be pretty good, and especially if you can afford it, then definitely go for it. And then you have this life force dropped by harvest monsters in your maps is duplicated. Harvest monsters in your map have more life. Harvests in your map contain at least one crop of blue plants, and the duplication of life force dropped is very, very important, and you want to prioritize a particular type of crops that you are farming and that you are taking with your talents whenever you are blocking. So basically, in general, you want to use a sextant that increases and makes this contain at least one crop of the type of crops that you want to sell and that are the highest price. And this sextant is quite powerful as well, which yet again increases your cost of running every single map, which means that you want to juice it up a little bit more, go more when it comes to your map mods. Otherwise you will start losing a little bit of money here and there, then more money whenever you're going for sextants and not optimizing some other parts of your endeavor in general. And yes, this is why, and that's why all these small talents that increase effect of modifiers. So that's why using scarabs for increased pack size, and again paying a little bit extra. This is why it's all important, because you're using your quite pricey sextants combined with all the other mechanics, and whenever you're mixing them properly, then it will have a good return. If you're not doing that, then harvest is a bit more scarce in terms of rewards. You will still get profits, especially if you're running higher tier maps and stuff like that, and you're still killing. You're efficient enough, you're fast enough in order to get towards that point, and you can clear those mobs quite easily. You'll still make profits, it will still be pretty good. But with all the things, especially if you want to go for these sextants, you may want to try without them first, just in general, to see how profitable it is without them, then try with them, and to see if your gains meet your losses, and if your ways of crafting and getting your maps to high amounts of quantity is okay enough. But yeah, that is in general what we can talk, what I can say about harvest. Harvest is yet again, I want to emphasize it. It was one of the best ways to farm currency in previous league, and there are many other, or at least some other strategies with crop rotation and with Atlas memories that we can talk about in later video. But now, thanks for watching. I think that I haven't forget anything here. Thanks for watching. If you want more content like this and a guide on the crop rotation as well, then subscribe to the channel. Have a good day and goodbye.